The worst legislative salesman in the history of the presidency gave a speech tonight intended to sell his legislative agenda, and he sounded as if he would prefer being president of a department store to being president of the United States.
Let's give our country the best Christmas present of all: massive tax relief. And speaking of Christmas, yes, you want to hear it? Speaking, I'm talking about Christmas present. I'll give you a bigger Christmas present. You're going to be saying Merry Christmas again, okay? You're going to say Merry Christmas. You know, you go to the stores, and they have the red walls, and they have the snow, and they even have the sleigh and the whole thing. They don't have Merry Christmas. They don't have Merry Christmas. I want them to say, Merry Christmas, everybody.
In his latest essay for New York Magazine, Andrew Sullivan writes, "The reason we have a president increasingly isolated, ever more deranged, legislatively impotent, diplomatically catastrophic, and constitutionally dangerous is not just because he is a effing moron requiring an adult daycare center to avoid catastrophe daily. It's because he's a reactionary fantasist whose policies stir the emotions but are stalled in the headwinds of reality. They are the unhinged fantasies of a 71-year-old Fox News viewer." Andrew Sullivan joins us next. Joining us now, Andrew Sullivan, writer-at-large for New York Magazine. Andrew, welcome to The Last Word, and your essay about our 71-year-old Fox News viewing president is one of those essays where you're saying things that are in our heads, we know, but we haven't laid them out that way in that kind of flawless logic that you present about this. And we're living in this chaotic environment that the president seems to be the only one oblivious to the chaos.
Yes, I mean, I think if you've ever lived in a family with mental illness, you'll understand what's going on. This man is not really in control of himself. I think if you try and think there's a strategy to this, or that he's lying, or that he's behaving in some sort of strategic or intelligent way, you're missing the fact that he cannot help any of this. That he's living in a fantasy world, and that fantasy world is one of profound reactionaryism. And reactionaryism is really a wish that we were living 50 years ago. It's not actually a program that you can implement. So if you're running on a program to deport 11 million people, to throw up to 20 million people off their health insurance, to erect a giant wall across the entire southern border, to withdraw from a trade agreement, NAFTA, which would destroy the economies of Mexico and Canada and create huge disruption across the world, or to leave the Iran deal, which is endorsed by every other major power and that would violate the United States' credibility in any international relationship. You can't actually do it. And if you want to do it, you're going to risk such damage that you're always going to pull back at the very end. It's partly his platform that has rendered him so impotent, and it's also, of course, his psychological illness.
And presidents overpromising during campaigns is a phenomenon that we're used to, and it's a phenomenon that politicians are used to. And once in office, when they realize, if they didn't already, the limitations, the kind of reality zone that's left to them in the shape of whatever's left of their promise, that's what they aim for, and they practice rephrasing success as the achievement of that lesser goal. This is something that this president, that no one seems to be able to drill into this presidency, that victory has to be defined in terms differently than you described it during the campaign.
It would require his walking back some things. It would require, for example, saying, I'm not going to build this wall, but let's try E-Verify. Let's get a deal with the Democrats where we can exchange, say, DACA for E-Verify. Actually being in charge of the minutiae of policy, understanding where the country is. You can't start from 1960 if you are president in 2017. And that fantasy of his impedes his ability to do and get anything done. And the trouble is that his response to that is rage. It's not an attempt to wind it down or to come up with something actually systematic that you could actually achieve legislatively. It is simply to lash out wildly at anybody that dares point out to him that this is the world we actually live in, and you can't actually do these things without massive disruption. And I think you see that elsewhere in the world. I mean, you see it in Britain, where the idea of actually getting out of the European Union sounds fantastic until you're actually trying to do it. And we're a year on from the vote on Brexit, and the Prime Minister has no idea how she's going to pull this off. And the cabinet is tearing itself apart. This is a function of not conservatism properly understood. It's not done with the logic and rationale and political sense of a Thatcher or a Reagan. This is a kind of thrashing around wildly in response to a world you simply don't understand and also can't live in. And that's why we're in this incredibly weird period where this incredibly dangerous man is also incapable of doing anything. And that's a very strange position for us to be in, but that's what happens when you have someone this unfit for office actually attempting to do anything.
Do you see a transatlantic contagion of fantasy that has given us Brexit and Trump?
Yes. And I think it's in part, deep down, a panic at the modern world. It's a panic that we live in a multiracial, multicultural society, and they just don't want to live in that world. But there's no alternative. That's the world we live in. You're not going to turn this country into 80% white again. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to undo 40 years of integration in Europe overnight. And so you elect these fantasy figures who tell you somehow we're going to make Austria white again, for example. Or these things are profound in emotions. But the job of real politicians is to, sure, acknowledge those emotions, understand the problems, but then to come up with actual policies from where we now are to mitigate, not to abolish, but to mitigate and make things a little better. That is the art of politics.
Andrew Sullivan.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're out of time for the block. Andrew, thank you very, very much for joining us tonight. I really appreciate it. Mandatory reading in New York Magazine, Andrew Sullivan's latest essay. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Lawrence. Lovely to be here.
Thank you.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.